Hi, I'm Dan. Thanks for checking in on Dimgaard this week. If you have watched the Dimgaard adventures that I've been recording, the Monday night sessions over the past couple months, then you may have noticed that this past Monday, one of the players switched from a moon druid to a paladin, and so the PCs are at 11th level, which is pretty far advanced into a campaign if you're going from 1st to 20th level. And I know that that there are varying opinions on switching characters, like remaking characters. So I thought I would expand on my position and why I have that position. As a rule, in my campaigns, in my Dimgaard campaigns, I allow players to completely remake their character at the same level at any time. I do ask them to give me a week's notice, because a lot of times I will have specific content prepared targeting specific characters in the group, and if suddenly that character is not going to be there, then I'm going to want to change up that content. But I know that a lot of people, a lot of players, both players and DMs, do not like that. They think that that it interrupts continuity, and it leads to a breakdown of cohesion when you have players who are swapping out PCs a lot. And then particularly as you get higher in level, there is usually a definite slowdown in play whenever a player changes a high level PC, because there's just so much going on with high level PCs that the idea that you can just jump into a high level PC and play it smoothly and effectively is hard. Okay. So giving all of those considerations, why do I prefer to allow players to change at any time? So the big one for me is I want players to have characters that they care about, that they are engaged with, and that they are really interested in telling that character's story, right? Seeing that character's story evolve. That invests the players into the game and into the campaign, and that's what's really enjoyable for me, right? It's an act of story building for me. And if I saddle a player with a character that they now find boring or hindering in some way, it is just naturally going to disrupt that. Is going to be a barrier to their investment in the campaign, and I don't want that. I want the players to have as much opportunity to remain invested in the campaign and active and engaged as possible. So that's the primary reason. Then the other reason is that I sympathize with the idea of wanting to try out new things. So, Dimgaard, my campaigns, particularly when we get to the higher levels, it's an unusual situation, right? It is like even most published campaigns from WotC, they cap out at in the low teens to mid teens, and so suddenly it's a rare opportunity to be able to play a 20th level character in 5th edition. Most campaigns don't opt for that. It's not like MMOs where the game begins at max level. 5th edition campaigns typically end much before max level. So I understand that they're moving into 17th, 18th level, and they're doing it with a character that maybe they thought was interesting, but suddenly they're thinking, oh no, I wonder what it would be like to play this completely different archetype at 18th, 19th, 20th level. I'm likely to have, as the DM, I'm likely to want to observe that, right? And I'm like, okay, what do I, as the DM, what is it that I'm going to need to do to challenge and make it interesting for a god like, I don't know, Drake Warden, right? Or Dragon Descendant Monk, or whatever the new archetype is that a player is wanting to switch to at that high level. So that's going to be interesting to me too, right? Like I'm likely to learn things. I'm like, oh yeah, this high level archetype completely breaks the campaign with these certain suite of high level abilities. So whenever I'm designing an adventure for 18th, 19th, 20th level characters, I've got to take that into account. Like the one that everyone knows about is the Paladin's Aura, right? You just have to, if you're designing a high level adventure, you just have to account for the Paladin's Aura and say, okay, what's going to be done to neutralize that, at least in some encounters, so that it's not just an active exploration, that it is an actual challenging adventure for PCs. So, like I say, that's interesting for me too, particularly when it's an archetype that I've never seen at those levels before. Now, I will caution this. I've had players who would not put in the time to thoroughly flesh out a character. They would, games on Monday night, I would get a notification on Sunday. Oh, I've decided I'm going to switch to this. I'm going to switch to a 12th level Genie Warlock. And I'm like, okay, yeah, you're just now getting good with your current character, and you're wanting to switch to a 14th. But I would be like, okay. And then, we would be in play, and when it would hit them in initiative or in turn sequence, and things would just grind to a halt. And so, at some point I've got to step in and say, look, you need to learn to play your character smoothly, efficiently. You need to understand its history. You need to understand its motivations. You need to be able to make that play smooth, and because it's not fair to the other 5 players and the DM for you to just selfishly decide that rather than put in the time to learn, that you want to show up and just wing it and drag the game to a crawl and not understand the mechanics of your character, so that we're having to spend time looking up how a mechanic works, how a spell works, right? Or find out after the session is complete that you completely misstated an ability, and so I've been in that situation. It's not a pleasant situation, and so whenever it is clear that a player does not have the ability or the inclination to really develop a high level character and play it smoothly and effectively, then you have the obligation as the DM to say, no, you can't do that. I realize that everybody that other players I've given them the privilege of completely remaking their characters at 14th level, but I'm not going to let you do that, because I don't want the game to be unfun for everybody who shows up. And the converse of that is, there are players who have demonstrated an extraordinary capacity to develop very elaborate and complex characters at high level, and whenever they show up in the first time they're running them, and they know every intricate mechanic, they understand the constraints of each spell and each special ability, and it's a marvel to watch, right? To see, oh wow, how this person has shown up with a new, a constructed from scratch 16th level character, and there is never a miss of a beat in that 4-hour session when it comes to them in initiative. They knew what that character was capable of doing. They knew why that character would want to do those things, and yeah, that's a great thing to watch, just as an observer of play. You know, that's where I stand on allowing PCs to completely remake, or players to completely remake their PCs. And you know, this is an opinion. This is based in the rules, and so maybe I'm wrong. Maybe my opinion is not well formed. If you have a differing opinion, I would love to hear that. I put my social media contact information in each of these videos. It's always great when people leave comments. You know, maybe you think that I'm not liberal enough on allowing players to remake their characters. Maybe you think that I'm too liberal on allowing players to remake it. If you have a cogent argument for any of that, please leave a comment or contact me. And then if you find these videos useful, then please hit the like button so the algorithm will pick it up and make it more likely to be seen by other players. And you know, you can always subscribe so that you don't miss any of them. And thanks again for tuning in.